my sort of goal is to just work with sound in as many forms as possible. I find it really sort of exciting to collaborate on different mediums. I started out sort of playing guitar, and then as I went through university and higher education, I drifted to sound design and experimental composition, sound art. So I try to I like this sort of, I like to not keep a label on things. I've done in the past year, I've done sort of film scores and podcasts and theatre sound design. So I think it's just an exploration of sound in all its different mediums. I think I'm quite naturally drawn to storytelling and the way that sound can be used in that medium to sort of push points and create sort of tensions. And I think that's the area that I like to inhabit
Mm.
creatively.
Yeah, there's so much richness in that area. I was actually speaking to someone the other day about horror films and about how, because I think the majority, I haven't seen a lot, but the ones that I have seen, it seems that the leading art isn't the acting or the writing or it's the music that creates the tension and the atmosphere. There was an artist, I can't remember his name now, Matthew something, and he's a musician artist, and he filmed a mother like making breakfast for her child. It was just like frying an egg, but the music behind it was so so much suspense that you're on the edge of your seat. And it was just there's no special thing that happened. They just had breakfast and that was it.
Yeah.
But the music that led to it was just completely transformed the vibe of it. And so he has a lot of scope that you can do. Is there a particular kind of type of story that you like or narrative that you are drawn to?
That's a big question. I
Yeah.
think I tend to like more surreal narrative, psychological sort of themes, just because it gives me more scope to be creative. As you say, sort of horror is a great genre for that, and I've done a few pieces, scores and sound design for horror, and in that you can sort of start to bring in sounds that you wouldn't normally use. The Foley and such can be quite creative and abstract. So yeah, I think I like sort of more surrealist works, and whenever I do compositions, it tends to veer that way a little bit. So
That's cool. Yeah, so trying to represent an abstract idea with music. Like for some reason, the Carl Jung's individuation process, you know, the how a person becomes kind of whole and a character development, and yeah, like you said, like taking a psychological concept and representing that with sound. Because I did the same, but with shapes. So it's like you said, it's the creative potential is so rich. It's it's something that I really enjoy.
yeah, I think it's sort of taking something familiar and then making it unfamiliar in a creative way is the thing that I find quite gratifying. I've done sort of pieces about butterflies and stuff, and I've represented them through different mediums. And it's sort of, I always find myself more fulfilled when I've found a different way to approach something, to sort of switch the perspective a little bit.
Oh, that's so cool. So when you say butterfly, are you coming from the perspective of a butterfly or the effect that a butterfly has on its surroundings?
So it's from the perspective of a butterfly. It sort of deals with the life cycle, so from the egg to a
Metamorphosis.
caterpillar, and then sort of metamorphosis into it, but using only water sounds. So it sort of has this transformational feeling, and it's not necessarily that that's what the audience is going to get, and I sort of don't insist that people see it in that way. But for me, that's sort of the driving point, and I think that framework really helps me creatively.
Yeah, that's so cool. Nature's such a good template for to use kind of storytelling because, like you said, it's abstract, yet there's a structure there that you can work within, like life cycles. It's a great one. Ah, and we had a little bit of a chat before we stopped recording just now, and you've got some kind of toying with the idea of studying a PhD in Birmingham. I put Birmingham. I love that, Birmingham. So what makes you want to, because it's always a big question for an artist whether to carry on and push themselves in education, and like for what reason? So what are the reasons why you want to keep going in education?
Um, I think, well, there's a lot of reasons that I want to sort of keep going in education. I'd love to at some point teach and
Mm,
learn sort of that side of the artistry. But in terms of creative practice, I always find that I sort of, as we've been talking about, it's a creative research. I find that sort of thinking about nature, thinking about these forms really helps drive my process. And I sort of want to dig a bit deeper into that. And I think that a lot of sort of practice led PhDs at this point really sort of lend themselves to that. So I want to just sort of explore the area of art that I'm interested in with a bit more nuance.
mm,
And I
mm.
think that there's quite a lot of scope for that. You know, sort of 3 to 4 years full time would just be a dream.
Yeah, very completely like indulge in well, curiosity and what you love, which is sound. That's really cool, very exciting. And can I ask what how you kind of came across Syntropy, the call, and then what made you want to apply, and then why infinite geometries, and like a bit about your journey with Syntropy, I guess.
So I saw the Syntropy calls on a few artist websites. I think the one that comes to mind is Zealous.
Hmm.
Um, and I thought it was a really interesting idea, especially because I had been working a bit with audiovisual um, works in the way that I can sort of, because I'm a musician first and foremost, the visuals generated after that sort of my process is to create a link, having the music set, and then the visuals helping to sort of aid that experience. So to see that I could do both, and there was also quite a there was, you know, you've got the titles, you've got the relax, elevate, breathe, and they sort of they're nice keywords. So I thought that that could really sort of hone my thinking. So yeah, I just it immediately appealed to me because I'd sort of a few years prior I'd done a selection of 100 miniature works a minute long, and so yeah, I wanted to explore it. Those were all just as and when I sort of felt like it with whatever brief. So I wanted to try and create something that was almost more meaningful
Hmm.
with those processes that I developed.
That's cool. Yeah, I've heard this from a lot of artists actually, because it's such a wide brief. You know, breathe. What does that mean for you? Even though like kind of there are technical requirements for that, how you interpret it and how you go about creating it is completely, there's complete freedom there. So I'm really glad that like yeah you got excited about the the brief and the call and what we're trying to do at
Mm.
Syntropy.
I
That's
think I think as well it was it's great to see a call out that deals with the why and lets the artist focus on the what, the sort of interpretation, because it is sort of a guided meditation. It helps with, you know, in the case of breathe, it is that sort of there's a state and an impetus, so that it is just at the forefront of my thinking, which obviously guides the music. There are certain, I wouldn't put a horror sound in there, so it just helps think and develop and push myself in ways that I'd never thought of before. I don't think
mm,
I've really explored the music as a sort of wellness tool, and so that was something that really interested me, and I enjoyed sort of sinking my teeth into that
that's
brief.
really cool. How have you used music as a wellness tool before?
Um, I think coming from an electroacoustic background, there was a lot of sound talk of soundscape and how the sound of your nature impacts your environment. In, you know, mostly sort of unconscious ways, but it is a sort of pressing concern. There are, you know, if you live by a busy road or a lot of noise, they find that children are less inclined to read. So there is this sort of link between people and place and sound as a result. So I think creating an environment that allows somebody to sort of sit and have this zone where they can, you know, breathe and relax and elevate themselves just away from normal life is really interesting. And I think
Mm.
there's a lot of responsibility there for the artist, which was something that I grappled with throughout the process.
That's really cool. I mean, that's so lovely to hear. When you were speaking then about kind of urban settings and especially with kids and not being able to necessarily kind of go out and play around, one a kind of an idea that I had was to produce like a set of like urban meditations. So using sounds that, so someone living in the city, instead of they're not used to hearing birds, but they are used to hearing sirens, for example, and kind of instead of trying to reframe that as a potentially soothing thing, or at least a tool, rather than, but obviously the artist has injected that kind of natural integrity into it, and yeah, kind of reframing sounds for different people in different places. So
Yeah,
just
I suppose that feeds into the sort of the end product as well, because as you say, if it is an urban meditation curated soundscape, then it is going to be more accessible to someone that lives in the city. And I don't think that's something I've ever sort of considered before. But that's a really interesting idea, because potentially in reframing sirens in that way, it could become a bit less stressful over time once you start to build those associations.
that's it. It's kind of giving a, like, well, yeah, a reframe, a bridge, and saying like, you know, these sounds can be interpreted in a different way by giving them an experience that is a new association. And the same goes with that, you know, the everyday objects, which is quite a classic thing to start with like sounds and objects, you know, like a kettle boiling, toast popping, like, and because obviously, like, the ultimate goal is, you know, to be present and mindful in every day in these everyday tasks. And you have to feed yourself. You have to. We don't have to have a cup of tea, but it's nice to, you know, to do that. And so again, if you can associate everyday sounds with meditation, then that's another way to kind of build connections, neural connections through creativity, which is a really strong way to do that kind of thing.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
and I think you see that more and more in appliances that sing to you as well. You've got the sort of washing machines that when they've done their cycle, they've got a sea shanty sort of sound, and it's just just bringing music into everyday life,
Yeah, yeah,
without it being imposing.
yeah. That's it. It's already there. It's just, I guess, kind of decorating it and highlighting the beauty in these things. That's really cool. I'm very excited to see what like how you get on and continue with your career.
Thank you.
That's really cool. Um, well, yeah. Is there anything that you'd like to say or ask or say? Do you have anything exciting coming up you think would be of interest?
I have a installation at the end of next month in the Museum of Science and Industry in Manchester. That's about
Ooh,
the biggest thing that I've got coming up. It's audio visual again. It's about space and hypothetical planets. Um, so that yeah, that's sort of the biggest thing on my mind at the moment.
oh, that sounds amazing. Is that large scale?
Yeah, so it's sort of projector and then quadraphonic speakers. So the planets sort of spin around you in sound. So yeah, it's
Wow.
been a fun project, and that's been sort of my focus these
I
past
can
few months.
imagine. And that's going, that's opening up at the end of the month, did you say?
It's part of the Manchester Science Festival, so from the 21st to the 30th of October. Um, and I'll be there the entire time to talk about it. So
Oh, that's
yeah,
amazing. Oh, I want to check that out. Yes. Oh, that's so cool. Congrats.
thank you very much.
Oh, cool. Oh, well, thank you so much for your time today, Cameron. It's really nice to kind of just speak with you and get to know the artist behind the screen.
Yeah.
And yeah, looking forward to having your upcoming video and hopefully many more to come.
Yes, thank you very much for your time. It's been great to talk.
Amazing. All right. Well, have a great day and
And
I'll speak to you soon.
see ya.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.